Morning glory and evening grace, America. It's Hugh Hewitt on this, the 25th day of October 2006. Coming up after the break, Lynn Cheney joins me at the bottom of the hour. Andrew Sullivan is here for an hour and a half, but we begin this day, as we do many Wednesdays, with Christopher Hitchens, author most recently of a biography of Thomas Jefferson. And welcome back, Mr. Hitchens. Have we offended you in some way?
No, I've just been playing hard to get.
Okay. I mentioned your Jefferson biography because I'm going to talk with your friend Andrew Sullivan at the bottom of the hour. Did you read his book before it came out?
I'm sorry to say no. I have it still to read.
In it, he says that Jefferson was, quote, a believing Christian, and yet he used his own mind and soul to winnow the Gospels to what he thought were the essentials. I thought you might find that odd.
Well, yes, it's wrong. It's very rare for Andrew to be so flat out wrong.
It is.
Whatever Jefferson was in his religious mind and life, and I think he was probably an atheist by the end, he was certainly not a Christian. He did not believe in the Christian revelation at all. Indeed, he went through the New Testament with a pair of scissors, actually with a razor blade, cutting out all the mythological and supernatural bits of it to leave in only the morality. It's called the Jefferson Bible. You can get it almost anywhere. Congress used to give it out. The Unitarians will give it to you for free, I think.
Yes, I agree. And it just struck me as
he certainly was not a Christian. I don't think he was a believer of any kind by the end.
I was persuaded by your argument with that regard. Also, Sully also says that Disraeli brought universal suffrage to Great Britain in the 19th century, which is certainly a shock to most British historians. I wonder if it surprises you as well.
Well, it would be a great shock to most British women.
Yes! Oh, well, I'll talk to him about that. I wanted to give you a fair warning that...
Well, I'm sure these are only spots on the sun of his magnificent book. I mean, I don't want to prejudge, but those are factually, shall we say, they have shortcomings.
But pause for a moment. When you find things like that in a book of not very great length, doesn't it give you pause?
The Jefferson one does, yes. But, I mean, it's a big difference I've always had with Andrew is about the supernatural and his odd affection for churches that don't want him.
It's not about what he believes.
You could say of Disraeli that he converted the Conservative Party to the idea of a widened franchise. That's true.
Well, that is true. But again, doesn't precision matter in political polemic?
I don't want to be caught saying no.
Okay. Let me go to New Jersey, where this very day, the New Jersey Supreme Court has imposed upon the Garden State same-sex unions. However, the people of New Jersey got to keep their naming rights. I have no idea about your view on the policy, Christopher Hitchens, but what do you make of the idea of courts imposing it?
Well, you're telling me a lot of things I don't know. About New Jersey, I mean.
Oh, it happened today at noon, my time.
What is the naming of marriage?
Oh, the Supreme Court of New Jersey said, we don't care if you call it marriage, but it must be the same for same-sex couples in the rights and privileges bestowed.
Yeah, well, I've always thought that the problem is probably the other way around, that no matter how much parity is achieved, people will still refer to certain marriages as gay. There will be marriages and there will be gay marriages. I mean, homosexuals will not get what some of them seem to want, not all, which is to be considered to be the same as heterosexuals. I don't know why anyone would want that. It seems to me to miss the point of being gay.
But what about the idea of courts imposing this as opposed to... my argument against gay marriage has never been about gay marriage. It's about the method of imposition upon it on society.
Yeah, well, I think we should have a vote on it, sure.
And we have not. All right. Now,
we haven't. No, I mean, I think that's true in general, by the way. I don't like using the courts to short-circuit these things.
I agree. Now, to the most important issue.
Well, the crucial thing is, I think, that, I mean, the only contribution I've ever really made to this argument is this. For many, many years, because of religious and other forms of hypocrisy, gay people have been forced, if not encouraged, to marry heterosexuals, often without, as it were, disclosing the fact, leading to a great deal of misery all around. I think one positive thing about gay marriage was it would stop pretend marriages that are embarked upon just for, so to speak, social and hypocritical reasons. I think as far as I know, that's a point that hasn't been made. What?
Possibly and possibly not. There are other reasons besides that people would never choose to
Anyway, you should be pleased because it certainly shows what has been clear for some time, which is that the homosexual rights movement is evolving in a conservative direction, and that's been true for a good bit of time.
Well, I am not pleased when courts impose dictates.
But I wish they would take up the case of gays in the military again, because that didn't seem to me ever to get solved. They dropped that and picked up marriage before they'd got the right to serve in the armed forces, which would be a very relevant thing to be discussing at this very moment, I would thought.
Proponents of same-sex marriage lost that battle. I mean, Congress acted, and the President Clinton signed it into law, and therefore it's over. They'd have to reopen it. They've never won the gay marriage battle. They just won the courts. But I got to get to the important stuff, because, Christopher Hitchens, we've been watching Ramadan unfold in Iraq. Are we watching an Islamist Tet offensive?
No. I mean, I resent all of those analogies to Vietnam for innumerable reasons. One is, I think the most obvious one probably is that we are not in Iraq as the inheritors of French colonialism, as we were in Vietnam, which foredoomed the whole project. The second is that Vietnam was never accused in front of the United Nations correctly of having committed genocide, of having used weapons of mass destruction and concealed them, of having sponsored international terrorism, or I'm trying to think of what the third most important objection is. Occupying and invading the territories of other countries. Though, in fact, the Vietnamese did once invade Cambodia, but that was only to get rid of the Khmer Rouge, and that was after we'd gone. So the comparison just doesn't hold.
But it's not a comparison.
We were never in any danger from Vietnamese suicide.
It's not a comparison to the Vietnam War. It's a comparison to the tactic of Tet, which is to launch a major offensive with the aim, successfully in the case of Tet, of influencing the American media to dispirit the American people. And I do believe that's underway right now.
Well, I don't think it's just a Ramadan offensive. After all, most of the people being killed are other Muslims.
In the city of Hue,
though I'm not a Muslim myself, does strike me as a very strange way of celebrating the end of a religious holiday.
Well, but in the city of Hue, 2,800 were butchered by the communists, so they didn't stop at killing their co-citizens at that point either.
Well, yes, but there was a war within Vietnam as well as a war between the Vietnamese Revolution and the United States. So those people are being killed for no other reason than they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they may be of the wrong confessional sect. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. I think you are right that the hope is that it will so much sicken and demoralize people. It's so barbaric and so bizarre that they will feel, well, we have no place in this hellish brew. Sorry, that's a mixed metaphor. We have no place in this hellish situation. It's beyond us.
Is it working?
Yes, I mean it's won over. Pretty much everybody I know believes that we shouldn't be in Iraq, but most people I know believe we should never have been in the first place.
Now,
most people became war-weary the day it began, so I'm not sure how much more war-weary they can become. What I would think this might do is to give people a rough idea of what Iraq would look like if we were not there.
And do you think Speaker Pelosi is qualified to be third in line to the presidency?
Well, I think she is if she's Speaker, yes. But I don't know if she's qualified to be a representative from the great state of California, frankly.
Well, are you concerned at the prospect?
I don't know. What is it to be qualified to be in Congress? I mean, if we started asking that, where would we stop?
And then I'll pose it a different way. Are you concerned that she may soon be the Speaker of the House?
Well, I wouldn't miss the present Speaker, I have to say, and I've already called for his resignation in the Wall Street Journal. I think he's probably, if he did that, it would be the only thing he was ever remembered for, just as it would be the only time most people ever heard his name.
And so if you had to choose between the two...
But that wouldn't make her Speaker if he was to quit.
Yeah, but if you were to choose between the two, Hastert or Pelosi, which would you choose?
I would demand some kind of a recount.
You can't. It's going to be one or the other, Christopher Hitchens. You got to choose. It's a choice. It's not a fiction.
Well, if the Republicans get Pelosi, let me put it like this: they will not just be able to blame the sogginess of the Democrats for that happening.
Well, that's true. But again, I'm rather stubborn on this.
I would not vote to make her Speaker if that's what you mean. No.
That's what I'm wondering. How bad will it be if Democrats win the majorities they seek?
Well, on the one thing that I care about at the moment, I'm a single-issue voter, which is whether or not we continue to stand by the secular and democratic forces in Afghanistan and Iraq against this tidal wave of barbaric jihadism, which means, signaling the intention to stand against it anywhere it threatens us. But I would like to say there was a clear distinction between the parties, but it's very obvious to me that the Republicans are increasingly getting very weary of it.
But if there is any party left willing to fight, it is the Republican Party.
Yes, I mean, certainly that's what I thought last time. I was in favor of the re-election of the president on that basis.
Yeah, we have copperheads, but they're not in the majority yet. We've got lots of copperheads, but they're not nearly...
Yeah, no, I think that that's true, but on the other hand, it would be a lot easier for the administration, in some ways, the present one, to sound a retreat, because it wouldn't be able to be accused of, as it were, stabbing itself in the back.
But neither you or I want to retreat. We want to win.
Yeah.
And so doesn't that mean we're facing a disaster here in 10 days, are we not, electorally?
I haven't written off the Republican campaign myself, I have to say.
Neither
are
have
you
I.
Are you so pessimistic?
No. I actually think we'll hold the Senate, but I'm saying if we don't, it will be a disaster. I think we might even hold the House, but if we don't, I think it will be a disaster. Do you agree with that?
There seems to be music reinforcing your view.
Christopher Hitchens, it's good to have you back. Look forward to talking to you again.